Almost every week, I get this question: Sarah, how much does it cost to start an HVAC business? But what people are really asking is this: how long until I'm profitable? How long until I replace my paycheck? And how long until I know I didn't make a colossal mistake? And here's the truth: starting an HVAC business costs more than most people expect. And it usually takes longer than most people hope. But it is absolutely possible if you go into it with clarity. So here's what I'm going to do in this video. First, I'm going to walk you through 8 categories of startup expenses that almost every HVAC company will face, and I'll give you realistic dollar ranges. Then I'm going to break down 3 different startup models because your total cost depends heavily on your personality, your growth goals, and your access to capital. So let's get started with the fundamentals. The first type of expense is your legal setup and business formation. Before you ever touch a furnace or install an AC, you need to legally exist. First, you need an EIN number. That stands for Employee Identification Number. It's from the IRS, and it's free. You can apply online and get it almost instantly. Next, you need a business license from your city or state. That typically costs anywhere from $100 to $300. And again, you can apply online. You'll also need to choose your business structure, usually an LLC, because that insulates you personally from liability. Many states let you file this yourself online for a few $100s. You can hire an attorney, but you don't necessarily need to. And if you do, it'll cost you maybe another $1,500 to $3,000. You may also want a separate trade name. You may pay an additional $100 to $150 to file what's called a DBA, a doing business as filing. Then comes your contractor's license, and that varies a lot by state. It might cost $200 to $600. And finally, if you're handling refrigerant, which you will, you need your EPA Section 608 certification. That certification is free from the EPA, but many people pay for prep courses or for an online test. So that can range anywhere from $100 to $300. So these costs are not glamorous, but they are non-negotiable. And in and of themselves, they could run you a few $1,000s. Next, I want to talk to you about insurance and why underinsuring is dangerous. You likely may need general liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance, especially if you hire anyone or pay yourself as a W-2. You need commercial auto insurance, and you need tool and equipment coverage. Depending on how aggressively you insure yourself, this can run anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 per year, even for a solo operator. And some people really try to cut corners here when they're starting out, but that is risky. One lawsuit, one accident, one stolen truck, and you could wipe out everything you've built. So really do your research, compare different insurance providers, and read the fine print. The third set of costs is going to be your tools and equipment. Even if you start lean, you're going to need vacuum pumps, recovery machine, refrigerant scale, hammer drill, diagnostic equipment. You can be scrappy, you can borrow occasionally from friends, but realistically, you want to plan on spending $5,000 to $10,000 building out your own professional tool set. Over time, you'll upgrade, but you need enough to operate competently from day one. Fourth, you need a transportation, and you need a truck with good branding. A used work truck might cost $20,000 to $30,000, and if you finance it, that's going to be $600 to $800 for a monthly payment. But then there's the branding. You can start small with a simple decal for $100. You can buy those on Amazon. Or you can do a full van wrap. A half van wrap may run you $500 to $1,500, while a full comprehensive van wrap that really mirrors the big guys in your market is going to probably cost you $3,500. But bear in mind, that van wrap is like a mobile billboard. You could have thousands or tens of thousands of eyeballs on that every single day. And so it might be a very good return on investment. Fifth, there's your financial infrastructure. Let's look at the money systems you need. You need a separate business bank account because you cannot run things through your personal account. That could trigger an audit. You need accounting software. I really like QuickBooks. It's easy to use and simple to set up, and that's going to run you $50 to $100 a month. You may also want to hire a bookkeeper. You can usually find someone for $200 to $400 a month that will keep your books active, but you may want to do this yourself because that's probably the best way to get a really strong handle on your books. Finally, you do need a CPA for end of year taxes. If you're under $500,000 for your business, you probably don't need to spend more than $800 to $1,500 to have someone do your taxes well, separate from your personal taxes. Don't forget, you may also need to seed that business bank account with like $5,000 just to get started, so you have some basic expenses. And you may be disappointed to discover that a lot of banks will not give you a commercial credit card from day one. So you're looking at all of these little expenses coming out of the business bank account from your debit card. The sixth set of expenses I want to talk about are your phones, your CRM, and your lead capture software. These are kind of the operational systems that make sure that you're capturing leads. And you do not want to use your personal cell, because you do not want to be getting those calls at 3 in the morning or when you're on vacation. It's terrible for your mental health and your work-life balance, and it's not scalable, because when you have more people in the long term, you can't transfer your personal mobile to their phone whenever you're on vacation or whenever you want someone else to answer the phone. So think long-term now and put in place a business phone number that you like. You can use Google Voice, Grasshopper, Nextiva, or get a number through your CRM like House Call Pros or ServiceTitan. You also need to get a basic CRMs. CRMs can run you anything from a real starter plan with House Call Pro can be as little as $50 a month. Something like ServiceTitan can be several hundred. But you want a place where you can capture leads, record people's phone numbers, email addresses, and locations, send your invoices, and really build the operational backbone of your business. The next thing you want to consider is you may need call answering support. That could cost $150 a month for an answering service, or you may need to spend a lot more if you want a customer service rep that is answering the calls for you, so that you're not in the middle of an installation and also trying to answer a new lead. But the truth is, if you don't answer the phone or put in place a system to answer the phone, you're not going to get the job. So whether you do an answering service, whether you do AI answering, which maybe is $100 or $200 a month, or whether you hire a CSR for anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 a month, you do need to have that system in place for lead capture and closing your calls. The seventh expense I want to talk about is your business address, and this is really critical for your SEO. A lot of people want to start their business using their garage, using their home address, and that's totally normal, and it's a really clean way to start. But if you want organic leads, so if you want people to find you when someone is searching AC repair near me, you need to have a legitimate business address for your Google business profile. You cannot just operate as what's called a service area business, because even though Google may say otherwise, the truth is service area businesses do not get found in local SEO. So you can use your home address if you're willing to put a sign up in your front lawn or on the front door of your house, but it does mean you lose a little privacy and people will be able to see where you live online. You can rent a co-working address for somewhere from like $100 to $400 a month. There's a little risk that Google will not approve that, but we have a lot of success getting people approved for those small co-working space addresses. Or you can lease a small office or warehouse space for $600 to $2,000 a month. But you really want to balance your resource envelope with establishing an address now that you can grow into not just 3 months from now, but a year from now or 2 years from now, and that will lay the seeds for you actually getting ranked in those very profitable and valuable near me searches online. The eighth set of expenses I really want to talk about, and this is the hidden one that people don't really think about, is the opportunity cost of your time. If you were making $120,000 a year before as a seasoned HVAC technician, then the opportunity cost of your time is $10,000 per month. And you need to factor that in when you talk about your startup costs. So those first 7 costs I talked about will be about $20,000 to $40,000. But then month in and month out, for every month that you are working on the business but not deriving a lot of profit or benefit from it yet, and there will be many months before you get much revenue, you're out another $10,000 a month. And so you need to have a plan, either that you have savings in the bank for that, or you have a very understanding spouse with good benefits, good health insurance that can really sort of cover the load for your family's financial needs, whether that's the mortgage, groceries, and what have you. But don't neglect thinking about that opportunity cost of your time, because that's often not cooked in when people make their initial frankly, very optimistic plans for how much it's going to cost them to start their business. Okay, so now we kind of understand generally what the costs of starting the business are. But the truth is, these can vary really widely. I talked about sort of your very basic bare bones costs, but I also want to talk about kind of what I see as 3 startup models, because this is where things can vary really dramatically in terms of both the cost and, frankly, your forecast for how quickly you're going to grow. So the first thing I see is sort of the DIY hustle model. This is the lowest capital intensive path. You build your own one-page website on Wix or Squarespace for $15 a month. You buy your own domain for $10 per year. You design your logo on Canva, get a Canva subscription for $12 a month. Use a basic CRM for $50 a month. You answer every call. You knock on every door. You ask for reviews relentlessly. You hustle on Facebook groups. So I once spoke to a contractor in Georgia who said he would find new business opening in town and personally introduce himself, offering to do their HVAC work cheaper than the big guys. And 1 out of 50 said yes, but that was enough to get him started. So this is the path for people who have extreme grit, strong sales skills, and are really very organized and willing to learn a lot of new skills. It's slow, but it can work, and I've seen it work beautifully for people who really have that hustle. The second model is the skilled operator with some marketing investment. This is kind of stepping it up a level. This typically is someone who understands HVAC deeply and wants to grow faster. Maybe it's a partnership with one person who is more skilled actually doing the work and another person who has more of the business acumen. So they invest in a professional website. They launch Google Ads. They're spending $1,500 to $3,000 per month in advertising, and they're working with a marketing partner like us from day one. So they understand that time and money are a trade-off. So instead of spending 6 months figuring out SEO and how to build a website and should I run ads, they invest capital to accelerate that growth. Now, this path may require $50,000 to $100,000 in total runway, and that's apart from your opportunity cost of your time to help you really comfortably scale. The third model is sort of the greenfield investor, and this is really a different animal. This might be someone with access to a few $100,000 or more. They are ready to hire multiple technicians. They lease office space. They run Google Ads from day one. They may even have a payroll of $20,000 to $30,000 per month before they are even making a profit. They're not expecting a profit in year 1 or maybe even in year 2, but they probably own other companies or have built and scaled under other companies, and they understand, hey, I can buy a company for $2 to $5 million, or I can invest $300,000 to $500,000 and start my own. This has a real potential for rapid market penetration when it's run by someone who really knows the numbers and has a lock on financial management, and is also very skilled at delegation and knows how to assemble a team of experts, be it their CPA, their marketing team, or their technicians, who can really help them grow. So when someone asks me, how much does it cost to start an HVAC business? The real answer is it depends on who you are, how fast you want to grow, how much financial runway you have. But here's the part that doesn't change across all 3 models. The ones who succeed answer every call, they follow up on every lead, they ask for reviews relentlessly, and they build systems early. They also treat marketing as infrastructure, not as an afterthought. Starting an HVAC business is hard. It requires capital and it requires patience. It also requires a lot of emotional resilience. But it is one of the most powerful ways to build wealth, legacy, and independence. So if you're thinking about starting your own HVAC company, or you're already in your first year and feeling the pressure, book a strategy call with us. We'll look at your model, your runway, and your growth goals. We'll talk about whether we're a good fit for you, and you'll leave that call with some more clarity about what it's going to take to really grow and scale your business. Let's build a plan that gives you clarity instead of guesswork, because hope is not a strategy, but preparation really is. Thanks, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video.